My name is Jamin Goecker. I'm a realtor in South Central Alaska, and my mission is to help you to build an intentional and significant legacy for yourself and your family by coaching in real estate. And the purpose of today's video is to answer the question I get fairly often, and that is, hey, what do you wish you'd known before moving to Alaska? So I'm going to be answering that question in just a minute. Before we get started though, do make sure you give this video a like. If you haven't done so already, do subscribe. And without further ado, let's go and jump into today's video, talking about the stuff that I wish I'd known before moving up here to Alaska. Now, the first thing that I really wish I'd known before moving up here is that it is really challenging to really start from scratch and try to find a job during the winter time when you're up here in Alaska. And the reason for that is so much of our economy is based around the tourist industry, and that really does drive a lot of other local economies here. So for that reason, you're going to see a lot of local businesses probably not hiring during the winter time up here, even on more of the professional level stuff. Actually, for some of you might know this already from my personal story, but that's actually a big reason I decided to get into real estate, just because it was so difficult to find a job when I got here during the winter time. And I was like, man, forget this. I've got 2 graduate degrees and I can't even get an entry-level job somewhere. I'm gonna get into real estate where I'm not depending on somebody else to see the potential of what I have. So yes, suffice it to say, challenging to find a job during the winter time. Not impossible, but that's definitely something I wish I'd known. Second thing I wish I'd really known ahead of time is the cost of living in Alaska is going to be a lot more expensive than you're going to find in a lot of places in the lower 48, though it is definitely not the most expensive. And there are people who live in those areas that are the most expensive. Actually, a lot of them do. So cost of living definitely going to be high, and you got to make sure you kind of adjust your lifestyle a little bit, or make sure you adjust your income accordingly. The third thing I wish I'd really known about when I first moved up here is the winters are tough. Now, I lived up here before when I was younger, when I was a child, and then the family PCS'd and moved out to somewhere else. And I went to school down in Texas, really high school, and then all the different college degrees I got were over in Texas, and then I moved back here as an adult. Now, it's interesting coming back as an adult, because suddenly winter starts hitting you a little bit differently, and everything else, you start seeing everything through a different pair of eyes, really. So suddenly cost of gas means something to me, for a gallon of milk really means something to me all of a sudden. And yeah, winter definitely hit me a little bit differently. And that's just something I wish I'd known. Seasonal depression is definitely a thing, and that's something that I've personally dealt with, but it's really important in the wintertime to make sure that you are reaching out to community, staying in touch with people, going out and doing things regularly, even if you don't want to. I'm very much an introverted person, but whether you want to or not, after a long day, you need to go out and do something just for your mental health during the wintertime, because it can get a little claustrophobic, and the lack of vitamin D up here, just from not having the sunlight, is going to have a bad effect on you. Also, obviously, vitamin D pills, those definitely help. And also, you can make sure that you go down to lower 48, go to Hawaii if they become friendly for tourists again at any point here, and go to some of these other places so you can get that good sunlight and get that warmth back into your system. So that's definitely something I wish I'd known before getting here. Let's take a break here real quick. For those of you who are looking at moving up to Alaska, I actually have a relocation guide that I went ahead and created for you. It's completely free, and it's available on my website. Just make sure you go register in there in the little comment section. Make sure you put relocation guide so I know exactly what it is that you want. And make sure you do include your phone number as well, so I can answer some more specific questions about what it is that you're looking for. The relocation guide is designed only to answer general questions. It doesn't get down into a whole lot of nitty-gritties, because I'm trying to keep it as applicable to the widest range of people possible. So do make sure you register to the website to get that relocation guide, and let's go and jump into the rest of the things I wish I'd known before moving up here. The next thing I wish I'd really known was that if you're going to book cabins, like let's say you have excursion, camping trip you're wanting to go on, and it's awesome during the summertime, and you're not thinking at the start of the year that you need to go book those cabins. Well, guess what? You do. For the most popular cabins up here in Alaska on the trails like Resurrection Pass or the Nancy Lakes, those areas, if you're going to book those during the summertime for any length of time, you need to make sure you do that like on the stroke of 12 on New Year's, okay? So you need to make sure you really get on top of that. It's not something where you start thinking about it around March or April, because summer's right around the corner. You should have been thinking about that months and months and months ahead of time. So yeah, if you're going to enjoy the summertime, make sure you do a lot of planning ahead of time. Also, something I wish I'd known is that you need to be up here at least a year before you're allowed to legally go dip netting. I did not go dip netting illegally, but there are definitely some people where they're not really aware of that rule. You have to be here for a year, and it can really come back to bite you. It's kind of a small community out there on the beaches around Kenai and Gasilof River, and it's pretty obvious when someone's there who should not be there. And this is one area where Alaskans can be snitches. And if they see someone that's illegally dip netting, not gonna have a whole lot of qualms in turning you into fish and game, and that's no bueno. Honestly, the DEA officers are probably more lenient than our fish and game. So yeah, don't do it. If you're thinking about coming up here for less than a year and going dip netting and just hoping no one notices, would not recommend it. But yes, that's something I wish I'd known. It's going to take a year before you can go and do it. And yeah, I thought I could do it on my first year, but I guess not. Last but not least, the thing I really wish I'd known before getting here was just how cold negative degrees can be when you're outside. Now, my first couple, well, not my first couple winters, my first winter was probably the roughest. And you know, that's not too surprising because that's when the adjustment period is. But also I couldn't afford to have like an actual winter coat. So I had like this little thin like autumn jacket that I just wore the entire time and just pretend like I wasn't really that cold, but it had nothing for filling except like a little bit of cotton. And I was just outside a lot of the time because I was working as a substitute teacher for a good portion of that winter. And I was outside during recess, kind of supervising kids and just freezing out there. And I actually remember one of the coldest times I was in my first winter that I was up here, definitely during recess, but another time was when I was outside, saw the northern lights, and I was trying to take a picture and took my phone out of my pocket, and as I was taking the picture, like the phone just died because it was that cold out. Additionally, it probably didn't help that it was an old phone, actually had a big old crack right down the screen. You could see a lot of the circuitry right there from there. Just holding in my hand, I could see a lot of the circuitry like working in there. So yeah, it was a joy every time I had to lift that thing up to my face to answer somebody. Thankful every time that I didn't get electrocuted. So yeah, definitely cold though. And it kind of takes your breath away the first couple times, but just make sure you bundle up. You get something that's not simply a spring or autumn coat, and it definitely does do wonders for you for your entire outlook on life. So this has been my list of the things I wish I'd known before moving to Alaska. I sure hope it was useful for you. If you have any questions about what it might look like when you move up to Alaska, do reach out to me. You can definitely do that on my Facebook page. You can slide into my DMs on Instagram, or you can register on my website as well and just put into the comments section what it is that you need help with. I do thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.